You know what they always say, new year, same me. Let's begin with closing down 2023. Hey, what's up, bookworms? Mike back with another wrap-up. This one, the last of 2023. We'll be talking about December. Happy New Year. Hope everyone was very, very safe and always responsible last night. And you are taking care of business today, guys. So it's back to the grind. It's back to the normal stuff here. But before we can do that, we've got to get through the end of 2023. A couple more wrap-ups, I think. And we'll be able to be fully in 2024. Let's go ahead and look at what I read in the month of December. Fun month. Had lots of stuff on the docket. Did have a vacation, so I knew I could fit a couple of larger things in there. But I read 3 mangas, 1 novella, and 5 novels in December. So very, very good month. I think I finished everything I wanted. To actually fit one more thing in there. That is the novella that I didn't think I was going to get to do until next year. That was Blackwater, Volume 1, The Flood, by ℙ𝕦𝕣𝕉𝕠𝕠. Liked it quite a bit. That was one, it's like 120 pages when you're breaking it down into each volume like this, like I am doing. And I really did enjoy it. I had a couple days before the new year. I wasn't quite ready to start Shogun or Assassin's Fate yet. And I did this in about a day plus. It's very cool. Not what I was expecting, really. I think that everyone, it was mostly Stephen King fans that kind of pointed me towards this, but I got a lot more Robert McCammon out of it. He's kind of got that Southern Gothic feel in a small Alabama town. There's some horrific things maybe going on in the background, kind of like similar to Boy's Life in that regard. But yeah, it has several things in it that I'm really enjoying. It's very much about the characters and the relationships to one another when Stranger comes to town, and said Stranger starts causing a little bit of things to change from the way that they've always been in town. But I did really enjoy that. Looking forward to continuing with that in February. I'll be doing 1 volume per month. Like I said, I just moved this one up because I did have a couple extra days. So that was actually a January read that I got in. For the rest of December, One Piece, volumes 21, 22, and 23. I am right there at the end of Arabasta. I've heard that it finishes in 24, but not all of volume 24. So I'll probably finish that up sometime this week. And then I'll be taking a pause because I will be waiting for Philip to catch up, because he and I and Murphy Napier are going to be talking about One Piece on all 3 of our channels in some shape or form. We'll get that schedule out to you when we figure it all out. But I will be waiting for Philip to catch up so I can talk with him while we both roll through One Piece. Leviathan Falls, the last book in The Expanse by James S.A. Corey. Very, very satisfying ending to that series. It was a little bit of a blurry vision, if you know what I mean, reading the epilogue of that final book and seeing how it did resolve. Very good. I was very, very happy with The Expanse. Very happy I decided to buckle down and finish that this year. And I was just very, very pleased with how it all went. There were some things I've been like, that's not quite how I wished that it had gone. But, in a universe such as this, it made a lot of sense. So I was very, very happy with where everybody ended up. Even if some of them didn't make it, maybe they did, maybe they didn't. I don't know. I don't want to tell you that because I want you to read it and I want you to experience it yourself. But the Expanse, easily one of my favorite series that I've ever read. Easily one of the most consistent series I've ever read, because even the worst book in that series, it's better than the best book in some other series that I have read. Legend by David Gemmell, one that had been recommended to me a ton. I think everyone, as soon as I said that I really liked Faithful and the Fallen by John Gwynne, everyone was like, well, you got to read Gemmell because it's very much John Gwynne is doing a hat tip to Mr. Gemmell. And Legend was where I wanted to start just based off recommendations. Really, really loved Druss. Some other things might not have kind of hit the mark for me, but I thought Druss was as advertised. He was a great, great character. And every time he was on the page, that book was amazing. It was spectacular. It's just when Druss wasn't there, I was kind of ho-hum on it. I did do a quick little, 1-minute review of it on the channel. Children of Time by Adrian Tchaikovsky. It's my first experience with Mr. Tchaikovsky. I think he's a very talented writer. He clearly does his homework on how the science of things work. It just was some things that his writing style in those parts of the science wasn't really kind of my thing. That's what's kind of kept me away from some of the harder sci-fi, is I don't want to feel like I'm going to class, and it did very much feel like I was reading a biology report in some regards. And I did like the human storyline that was going on. It was one of those where they could have been hit by a meteor and I wouldn't have been really moved by that at all. So I don't know if that's really the series for me, the Children of Time series. I was kind of expecting something a little different. and it wasn't really what I got there. But I wouldn't say I'd be writing the author off. I just don't know if I'm going to be continuing with this series. Lots of people have floated other series or standalones that Mr. Sarkowski has done. That's probably where I will head next. I might be even interested in picking out some of his fantasy books. I know he does do some fantasy books as well. Speaks of Nightbird by Robert McCammon. I already mentioned Robert McCammon earlier. I think that that's it's become a point where it's a compliment if I compare something to Robert McCammon. To me, I think this guy is easily one of the 5 best character writers that I've ever read in my life, and it continued with Speaks of Nightbird. Fool's Quest by Robin Hobb. You want to talk about characters? She is the queen at it. Thought that Fool's Quest, not quite as good as Fool's Assassin, but as far as it being the penultimate book in the series, I was pretty satisfied where it goes. I got to see Fitz do a lot of things I've been kind of waiting to see him do since the beginning of the series, so that was cool. There's some character relationships that I still really, really like, but there's some character inconsistencies that are kind of nagging at me a little bit, and I can kind of talk about those if Book 3 continues those inconsistencies and what did and did not work for me as far as it not being better than Fool's Assassin for me. So we'll talk about those when I do wrap up the series here very, very soon. But guys, it is that time, as always, to pick my book of the month, my last book of the month for 2023. If you watch my weekly updates, guys, I'm pretty sure you know where this is going. If you watch my top 10 books of the year, it was on there, and I think that you could kind of guess where I'm going to land on this. It Speaks of Nightbird by Robert McCammon. 3rd time he has gotten book of the month for me on this channel. The first time being Boy's Life, the second time being Swan Song, and now this time for Speaks of Nightbird, book number 1 in the Matthew Corbett series. This is one that kind of had been, Scott, the Bald Booktuber, was the first one who put it on my radar, saying he thinks that it would have been one that I liked a little more because Wolf's Hour and But They Thirst, which is kind of okay with me, but Scott has been consistent and always telling me, you got to read Matthew Corbett. I think you'd like it. Why? It was one of those things where I was like, I'm not nuts about historical fiction, Scott, and I was like, and I don't know if I want another massively long series. Well, this was a massively long book, guys, 800 pages, and it flew by. It's amazing what this guy is able to do with just explaining characters and how characters interact with one another in any situation. It doesn't matter the time period, the location, or what is going on. He's able to show you how characters interact with each other, and he's just one of the best at it. Like I said, gun to my head, top 5 character writers ever. I think Robert McCammon is sitting at that table, and he's got a good shot at getting in there. He's really, really good, and he just excels in this one. The relationship between Matthew and some of the other characters in this are just so good to read. There'll be stretches, 100, 200 pages where you'll be like, what has actually happened in the last 200 pages? You don't care because you're just so caught up in what's going on. Incredible, incredible mystery. Had me just guessing so many different things that were going on. I was right about a couple, but I was wrong on dozens. It was a very, very satisfying conclusion to that mystery. But I like the way he does, like Bernard Cornwell did in Warlord Chronicles, and he kind of leaves up to your interpretation. Is there some supernatural stuff going on, or is it just convenient? You never really do know. But I do think it was kind of his take on how we were looking at the Salem witch trials just a few years removed from it. Like saying, we probably didn't handle it the best way. Maybe we need to, sit down, breathe, and kind of look at all the evidence before we're just quick to send someone to the stake. So it made a lot of sense in that regard. And he would say that even then, just 7 years removed from the Salem witch trials, we were looking at it like, maybe we handled that wrong. So I thought that was a really nice touch, and it was really cool seeing his take on it. But again, it's never one of those things where we're looking at it, through today's lens and saying, this is what we did wrong in the Salem witch trials. I don't think so. And I think he's just so good at showing what was life like in the late 1600s in the colonies in the Americas. It's really cool the way that he does all this stuff. He sets up everything. And if you want to know how they dressed in 1699, well, Robert is here to tell you. That's the closest I've seen since Robert Jordan describing the clothes to me. I think I heard the word waistcoat about 1,200 times. But hey, it's amazing. The guy is an incredible, incredible writer. And while I went into it being like, God, another 800-page Robert, another 800-page book, Robert, why do you have to keep doing this? And never once felt overlong. I was never looking at my watch. I was never looking at that next book being like, when is this going to be over? Thought it was perfectly paced and well plotted, and another grand slam. So if I'm saying I'm doing a tier list, Robert McCammon, S tier is Swan Song and Boy's Life, but this is a strong A. I really did enjoy it, and everyone has told me that they think that the Matthew Corbett series gets better after this, and I will absolutely be continuing with Queen of Bedlam sometime here in 2024. Got a couple of other chonkers. Look, I'm reading Shogun right now, so I don't want to pick up another chonker. And I got a few others in front of it. You know, I got some Ken Follett and I got some Larry McMurtry I want to do before that. But I'll definitely be dipping back into the world of Matthew Corbett in 2024, as should you guys, because Speaks of Nightbird, book of the month for December of 2023. Check it out if you haven't. Some channel growth, obviously. The holidays are never a good time for channel statistics on the channel, so I'll be brief with them. It was really cool that we crossed 107,000 subscribers before the calendar did roll over to 2024, so thank you guys for that. We got 1,390 new subscribers on the channel this month. That's down 134 from November. Again, guys, the holidays, people aren't sitting around just watching a lot of YouTube. They're spending time with family. They're enjoying time off work. I do understand that. 384,000 views. That's up 15,000 from November. And 64,000 hours watched. That's up 3,000 from November. So it's nice to not see 3 down arrows again. As a content creator, you always want to see 3 green arrows in these 3 categories. But I'll take 2 out of 3 because November was statistically my worst month of the year. So I'm glad that I was able to beat at least that month for the channel. Let's go ahead and guys and move along to the most popular content on the channel for December. You're doing a lot of your wrap-up stuff for the year. That's going to generate a lot of interest in the end. While some content creators may not like to make that stuff so much, viewers do seem to love, you know, top 10s and wrap-up kind of videos. And I'm happy to be able to do that in December. Did try a couple of new ones on this year to see if you guys like that. They did show that you guys did based off of this data. Top 10 books of 2023 that I did read. 22,000 views as of this recording. That's always one of my most popular videos of the year. And a lot of people apparently make that like when you see that. I used to be this type of viewer, is whatever movies were nominated for an Oscar, I'd make sure I made it a point to watch those movies. People have told me that whatever books I put on my top 10, they always make it a point to read those the next year. And that's an honor. I appreciate that you guys would do that. Take my advice on something that you think that you guys should read. So lots of good conversation there. Did have a couple of questions. Main one being, why didn't have Empire of the Damned on there? Empire of the Damned will be eligible for 2024 since it is a 2024 book, and I was reading an advanced reader copy. I know that sounds like I'm doing one foot in, one foot out, but that's why it was not on that list. But it was one of the best books that I read this year. 10 most disappointing books that I read this year, 15,000 views. You guys continue to prove me wrong. I said about a year ago that I was doing a video about, you know, the worst books I've read since I started this channel, and I said that, the best books that I had read on the channel. I said if I made a video of the worst books from the channel, I bet it would get way more views, and it didn't. It didn't. So I said that I felt like people enjoy negative content more than they enjoy positive content. Well, not true, because both of my top 10 books and my most disappointing, you guys did appreciate the top 10 books better. So I'm glad that you guys do prefer the positive things. But the disappointing, it's never meant to be something negative. It's just sometimes that some books just don't land for you, you know. And I did have some things on there that people have really been in the comments surprised that I had it on there. And I can be like, I feel like can be a book that you like that you can still feel like it was a little bit of a letdown based off of your expectations. So I hope that did come across in that video. And I'm never once in that video saying, oh no, this is something you shouldn't read. I always encourage you guys on this channel to read it and decide for yourself. I'll just tell you what I didn't like about it. Ranking new series that I began in 2023. This is one of those I didn't know if I was going to make it or not. It was one of those where I looked back and said, I started 17 new series this year and started thinking, which ones did I really, really like? Which ones I not? And which ones am I going to continue with? And I thought that was a fun video. You guys agreed, I guess. 15,000 views as of this recording. Like I said, I don't know if I'm starting that many new series in 2024. I plan to, but, you know, it never really works out that way. But I think I could continue to make this one a yearly one in December because, it seemed like a lot of fun. And a lot of people are continuing or, you know, not continuing series based off of some of that feedback. And I always like to provide that for you. Biggest failures and disappointments in 2023. That had 12,000 views. It was kind of meant to be tongue-in-cheek. I think people took it a little more seriously. Had a lot of emails and messages, you know, being like, hey, don't give up. Don't let people get to you. Don't let things bother you. It's really one of those things, guys. Just I'm goal-oriented, so I set individual goals for myself. And when I don't reach them, I feel a little disappointed about it. But it was never a thing that was like, I wasn't like spiraling into a depression over it. You know, some things like, hey, I thought that I would finish Malazan this year. You know, things like that. I thought that I would get this video made this year, or I would start that series or finish this one this year. That's more what it was. It was, like I said, with the thumbnail, I thought that was obvious that I was just kind of goofing around. but I feel like maybe I should find a different title for that video going forward, because there's going to be some things, I didn't quite hit the mark on, and I like to hold myself accountable. I set myself goals, and when I don't hit them, I believe in accountability, the buck stops here kind of thing, even if it's just internally. That's something that I just do, it's part of my work ethic. So I like doing that, but I think, again, I need to make it a point that that's not quite as deadly serious as others took it. And then my book haul for November of 2023, 11,000 views, always one of my most popular videos of the month. And it's nice when it's not my most popular video, put it that way. That means it's usually, you didn't have very many exciting things this month. So mostly wrap-up material. Like I said, that's always a lot of fun, especially for people who've been watching the whole year and watch the process. So there we go. It's a very, very fun year, and getting to wrap all that stuff up in my own way was a ton of fun. Some favorites that didn't make this list that I really did enjoy doing. My biggest surprises of 2023. That was one of those where I said, if I could get in a time machine and go back to January and look back at it and say, wow, I don't think I could have ever possibly have seen that coming. So some of my surprises this year, like finding out that I liked One Piece, that was something that I said I was never going to probably read. Actually, I didn't say never. I made a point to say I never say never. I just didn't expect it to happen like it did, and then for it to be, such a series that I really did enjoy so much this year. So things like that, it's fun to look back on those things and say, hey, these are things I never could have predicted at the beginning of the year. My year-end live stream, actually did that yesterday. That was really, I said it was going to be an AMA, but it was really just kind of like a, hey, let's just hang out, I had several other content creators come on and join me. That was just so much of an enjoyment for me. I know on New Year's Eve, some people don't have, they do have plans and stuff. I make it a point not to go out on New Year's Eve, at least at this point in life. In fact, it's just hard for me to stay up till midnight, if I'm being honest. But yeah, just hanging out with some friends and having them come on, chat with me and chat with you guys. Always enjoyable, and I do love doing a live stream. It's, I try to keep them special by not doing them, multiple times per month. So when it's going to just be a thing where I'm just going to be interacting with the audience and stuff, I try to make sure that I keep that, an event. That's what I like to do. And then my Christmas Carol live reading. I know that's not content that everyone is here for, but it's a story that I love. It's always been one that I said I'd love to just, be able to read that book and share it with others, my little performance of it. And it was a ton of fun to do. Very, very time consuming. Not gonna lie to you guys, reading an audiobook is something I've said on the channel that I would love to do. I'd love to work for Audible kind of thing. That's like a retirement plan kind of thing. That's nothing I want to do with my life as is right now and my current, full-time job. It takes a lot of time, because I had a lot of people reach out after that, ask me if I'd be interested in recording their audiobook for them. Like, I wish I could help you. I just don't have time. It's very flattering that you enjoy my performance enough that you wanted me to read your audiobook. But Christmas Carol is my favorite Christmas story ever. It's one of my favorite stories ever. It's something I feel like is ingrained into our pop culture. I mean, who doesn't know about, the three ghosts that visit you on Christmas Eve, I think that's a very legendary story, and I want to kind of show people who had not took a chance on that story yet to see that Charles Dickens did write something really, really incredible, and I enjoyed doing that. Channel goals for 2024. I guess we're starting with January here. Look, I had an internal goal this year of crossing 100,000 subscribers and getting across 15 million lifetime views. Well, look, I hit both of those, and it was very, very fun to do that. I don't have those kind of goals this year. Like, once I hit 100,000, I kind of quit, watching that daily, watching that kind of subscriber count stuff. Sure, I do watch the data, guys, because I like to see trends. I like to see what's working for the audience, what's not, and kind of, adjust accordingly. That's just something that I do. It's just part of, my work ethic. I do work in statistics and analytics, so it's one of those things where I'm going to look at things like that. But as far as like I'm setting this goal, I want to have this many subscribers, I want to have many views. No, it's all fun and games. And to me, yeah, it was just because it was going to be a banner year of crossing some of those big milestones that I made a point to watch them so closely this year. But I don't have anything like that this year. Look, I just want to make sure that I'm continuing to collaborate with other creators, because I love to do that. I want to make sure that I'm trying some of these new series and finding some new favorites. That's something I really want to do this year, because I got some of those long ones off my list this year. And I'm going to be starting several others this year, and I'm hoping, they can become new favorites as I go along. But yeah, I just want to make sure that, guys, that this just continues to feel like a community that is welcome to everyone. Because, like I said, I don't care about what you believe in your daily life. If you like to read, guys, and you like to talk about it, and you like to have a good time and feel a positive vibe, I want to make this a community for you. I want you to come here, and I want you to feel like you are part of the channel. You're part of the family, and I appreciate everything that you guys have done this year, and I appreciate all of the feedback I've gotten, the good and the bad, because I can't get better if you guys don't tell me if I'm doing something wrong. That's kind of the point of these kinds of videos. And that's why I tell you guys things like channel growth, because I want you to know where my headspace is at on continuing to improve the channel every single year. So guys, that was the month of December. What'd you guys read in December? What was your book of the month? What was your favorite or least favorite video that I put out in December? I'd love to hear about it. There are no wrong answers here, and you're always welcome to let me know. So drop in the comments, guys, and let me know, and I will talk to you there.